Hello and welcome to another video on my channel. Bit of a different one today. I'm not outside, I'm inside and I'm in the kitchen. One thing that people who follow me on other forms of social media will know is that the Efficacious Gentleman is not just about being outdoors. The Efficacious Gentleman came about from making soap and making other kinds of cosmetics. Maybe one time I'll tell the whole story, but yeah. One of the things I do is I make my own soap and I make my own bath and body products. And what we'll be making today is a Earl Grey Hair Tonic. This is from a very old recipe that somebody from the forum soapmakingforum.com gave to me. It's a lady by the name of Deanna. And she's one of these people that's really, has got the knowledge and is able to bring it over in a way that makes sense and is so willing to share. It's really the three kind of main points there, and it's absolutely wonderful. And she shared this recipe with me and I love it. Now this product, it's not a stronghold product. It's not a wax, it's not a gel. Because it is kind of from the 19th or 18th century, the recipe is very simple. I'm not sure if I can get away with saying, it has benefits for the scalp. It's got some black tea in there, Earl Grey. And of course, back then the belief was that that would have benefits for the hair. And I find that it is actually good for my scalp. That's all I can say on there. I can't say that it's going to be good for your scalp. But it's a product that I use every day. This is my everyday product in the hair. It's very light, washes out very easily, doesn't leave any greasy feeling, which for me, for everyday use, is absolutely perfect. I need to use less and less of it every time, but that's the nature of getting older. So what I'm going to do is jump into what you're going to need in the way of equipment and what the recipe is. And I'll put the full recipe down in the description. It'll just be easier than trying to put it on the screen here. So let's get started. Okay, so one of the things that we're going to need is a scale. Now my one goes down to 0.1 grams, which if you're making a very small amount is absolutely perfect. Today I'm going to be making 700 grams of this hair tonic. I only work in grams even when I'm working with liquids. And so 1 gram would be perfect for 700 gram amount of product. If you're making a much smaller amount, which I recommend, if you're starting, make a smaller amount, something that can go down to 0.1 gram is absolutely perfect. But these are either they're hard to come by or they can be expensive. Something that goes down to 1 gram is fine. If you're in America and you usually work in ounces, that's great, but a gram is much smaller than an ounce. So if you have a scale that goes to grams, please use the grams. You'll also need a container to put it in. Here I'm using an old gin bottle that I've repurposed. If you don't have, alcohol bottles are absolutely great to reuse, especially dark ones like this. And this is quite an interesting bottle. Sorry, keep on hitting that. If you don't have an empty alcohol bottle, then drop me a comment drop me a comment below. Send me a full bottle of alcohol, and I'll send you back an empty bottle within a couple of weeks. That's an offer for my subscribers only. You send me a full bottle of alcohol, and I'll send you an empty one back. And now for the ingredients. We're going to start off with 87.5 grams of bay rum aftershave. Now, bay rum aftershave is something that you can buy. This is one that I've made myself, and I'll do another video on how to make the bay rum aftershave. We need 35 grams of citric acid. I keep my citric acid in an old pot, and of course, living in Austria, the label says Zitronensäure, citric acid in a dry powder form. You'll find it in the baked goods. We're also going to be using 87.5 grams of glycerin. This is an older bottle, it's fairly empty, so I've got a newer bottle here as well to use. We're also going to need 483 grams of black tea. Now I've put a lot of loose leaves in there, and I made this about an hour ago, so it's had time to steep and it's had time to cool down a bit. You really don't want this to be fresh from the kettle hot when you use it, and also having the time for it to steep is very, very important. So make this ahead of time. And if you're making it ahead of time, I filled it up to just over half a litre, and it's now dropped down a bit, and it's also going to be a little bit less in there because of the tea leaves themselves. So bear that in mind when you're making it. If you need to, or if you're following this recipe exactly and you're going to use 483 grams, bear in mind 1 gram of water is 1 milliliter. Go over with your amount because it will evaporate off. The tea leaves are going to soak some in, so bear that in mind. And then finally, we're going to be using 7 grams of tea tree oil. That's going to be going in there as well. So okay, so now to start putting everything together. This is very simple. One of the reasons why I started off with this video is because it is such a simple recipe to follow. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put my container, my bottle, and the funnel on top of the scale and tear it or zero it down. So now that's sat there at 0. Now I always start off myself with the dry ingredients, because then all the liquids that I put down are going to start putting that down. So I need 35 grams of citric acid. Okay, a little bit over, but that's not such a biggie. We can live with that. Tear it out again. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in, first of all, just get this down there. That is also one of the problems with measuring out the dried ingredients as well. So now we need 87.5 grams of glycerin. I'm going to put the glycerin in now because that's one of the thicker ingredients as well. I will just need the other bottle. We've got about 85.5 grams. So we're 2 grams short on the glycerin. I'm going to call that okay. That's what, yeah, now we're 1.5 grams short on the glycerin. One gram short on the glycerin. I'm going to call that done. That's fine. And that just slowly starts sinking down there. Now, as you might have guessed, the last thing I'm going to put in is the tea. So, the black tea. What I will put in is the tea tree essential oil. This can take a bit of time. And again, we want 7 grams of this tea tree essential oil. You can make it without the tea tree essential oil. That's also fine. Especially if you have any reactions to tea tree essential oil, you can go without it. I prefer it with. Again, I just find the You know, the benefits to the skin of the scalp is very, very good. I get quite a flaky scalp very easily. So this sort of thing is quite important for me. Okay. Now, 87.5 grams of Bayram Aftershave. Again, I'm not using it from the little bottle that I filled up. That's the one I use after I shave. This is the bottle that I use to top that bottle up. So I'm just going to use this one first of all. Just swirl it around, trying to get some of this stuff down. And 62. And a little bit over again, but not by much. So that doesn't matter, only a couple of grams over. So that's fine. And now for the 483 grams of black tea. Now, I'm going to use a tea strainer, which I'll probably end up holding, since it'll be more stable, because I use loose leaf tea. So, and again, try and wash down some of this stuff that's around the edge here. Okay, now I'm a little bit short. So what I'm going to do is just put some cold water in here. And give that a swirl. So that was actually just a lesson for you guys. When you're making your tea, make sure you really do make much, much more than you're going to need. And it's still quite tea colored what's coming out here. And again, a little bit over. But these recipes, we don't really have to be exact. With certain things like the tea tree oil, I would try to be much, much more exact. And there you go. I gave the bottle a little bit of a shake just to get everything nice and mixed up. Because this is really, it's just for my own personal use, the label is just literally the other side of the recipe post-it note that I had, just stuck on with a little bit of sellotape. Now what I will put this into for using, this is an old moisturizer bottle. I'm covering up the names, but it's just a small, this is a 50 milliliter bottle, and it has a pump top, and that's all I do. I put a couple of pumps into the palm of my hand and then rub that through the hair. So as I said, this is light hold, very light hold. Washes out very easily. I find it great for my scalp, helps keep it nicely conditioned. This recipe, as I said, was from the 1900s. It was given to me freely by somebody who has a lot of recipes from that sort of era. And yeah, I find it a great product, nice and easy to make. Let me know in the comments how it's gone, if you've made it, or if you guys have got any questions. If the process wasn't clear, let me know. But seriously, if you do make this, let me know your thoughts. That'd be great. But as I said, I will do a video on how to make the Bayram aftershave, if that's not something that you have. A lot of people who I know who are into traditional shaving will probably have some Bayram aftershave. It's not something that is available everywhere, which is why I make my own. So look for an upcoming video on how to make your own Bayram aftershave. It's fairly simple. Most of the ingredients are easy to find. One ingredient might be a little bit more difficult, but this is another really simple product to make. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. But thank you for watching. Hopefully you make and enjoy the hair tonic. and take care, and until next time.